Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to automate WordPress.com account creation. So let's just jump right to it. The first thing that you're going to have to do is grab the go to web address command, and we're going to enter in the website, which is going to be wordpress.com/signup. Okay. If we highlight this and click step, we'll be taken to wordpress.com/signup. All right, so the second thing that you're going to have to do, and this is true for every bot that you make, is after a web page is navigated to, you're going to want to wait for about 10 seconds. So we're going to drag over the wait 10-second command, and what that's going to do is it's going to give the web page time to load, just in case the internet connection is slow, or the website is slow and you need time in order for the website elements to load before it goes on about its business. So far, bot consists of two commands, which is go to a website and then wait 10 seconds. The next thing that we're going to have to do is fill in this information, okay, which is the email address, the username, and the password, and the blog address. Okay. Now, what we can do, BuildABot Studio comes with a cool command called create account details, and what that does is it fills in all of these variables. It gives them values with the username variable, password, first name, and so on, and it gives them just random account details. And this is useful because these are commonly used variables. That is, almost every website that you're going to automate is going to ask for these variables. It's going to ask for this information, and having the ability to just create all these details on the fly without having to build them in yourself is a great boon. So we'll just grab the create random account details command. We'll press OK. So if you're not aware of how this works, let's go to the debugger and notice how no variables have values. That is, all of these variables are empty. If we step through this command, you'll notice that all of these variables gain values. Okay, so let's click on this, click step. Alright, so it created a bunch of details. The first name is Debbie, last name Williams. They created a username based off of the first name, and a password, and an email address, and so on. Okay, now all of this is cool, but WordPress doesn't ask for all of this information, so we don't need all of this information. WordPress only asks for the email address, the username, and the password. So we'll look through these. The username that it's going to put in for us is going to be this one, and the email address is going to be this one. Now, we don't want this email address. We can use all this other information like the username and the password that it created for us, but we don't want this email address because this email address doesn't exist. It was just randomly generated when we click this button. In fact, it'll be different next time we run it, as I'll show you. So, like I said, this email address doesn't exist. So it's not helpful for us because WordPress is going to ask us to confirm our email address after the account has been created. So what we're going to have to do is actually enter in a real email address. And it's simple enough. What we're going to do is we're going to load from a file the email addresses that are listed here. Okay, in this text file, I have two email addresses that are actual real email addresses, and they're separated by a comma. Okay, I could just as easily have put 100 email addresses in here, or 1,000 or whatever, but just as a demo, I'm going to show you how to make a bot that grabs email addresses from a file that are separated from separated by a comma. Okay, so the way our bot's going to work is it's going to go to WordPress, create random account details, or at least the details that we need, like the username and password. It's also going to create the email address, but we are going to override this email. That is, we're going to use our own email addresses instead of the one that's automatically created. So in order to do that, we're going to have to load the email addresses from the file. Okay, so what you'll see under file commands is two options. You have two options that are relevant to us right now, which are load list from file and then load variable from file. Now, if I only had one email address, I could just drag over load variable from file, and it would ask me for where the file is located, and the name of the file, and then the name of the variable that I wanted to save it as. But I have more than one email address. I have two email addresses, and so I'm going to have to use load list from file. So I'm going to drag over load list from file, and I'm going to tell BuildABot where the file is located. So it's located in my documents folder. It's located in my documents / data. So I'll type in, it says my documents, so / data, and then I'll enter in the file name, which is email address .text. Okay, and I'm going to make the name of this list, let's call it email list. Okay, and then we'll press OK. Now, I guess now is important to let you know what the difference is between a list and a regular variable. So under user-defined variables, you'll see that I now have access to this list called email list. And you notice how in front of email list is an exclamation point, and that's to let you know that it's different from, let's say, a string of text, which is like these here, or rather these here. See how the string of text has a $sign in front of it, but a list has an exclamation point in front of it, while a number has a $sign in front of it. And we'll get familiar with each one of these different kinds of variables in a second. So let me just show you the difference between a list and a regular string variable. Now, right now, we don't see the content of email list within our debugger window. And remember, the debugger window just shows you all of the values of the variables that you have available to you at the moment. And the reason that it doesn't show up in the debugger window is because we haven't run the create list from file command yet. So what we'll do, I don't know why I just moved that. So what we'll do is just click that, and then we'll run the command, or step through the command. And what you'll notice is, in a second, the values that are in the file are going to appear within the debugger window here. All right. So notice you have two separate emails within our list. All right. So remember, we have a variable or a list called email list, but now they're separated. Actually, let's show you what the file actually looks like. Okay. You see how we have Bob Frank, blah blah blah.com. Then we have a comma here, and then we have Sam Donald, blah blah blah, and it's on the other side of the comma. So the first element, or the 0th element, is Bob Frank, and then the second element under index 1 is Sam Donald. Okay. Notice how BuildABot removed the comma and put each one of these within its place. We also have an empty variable within here, which is email address too. Okay, so these are the only two that are important to us within this list. So let's see. So whenever we reference, that is, whenever we want to grab the information from within our list, we're going to have to reference it by its index number, and the index number for Bob Frank is 0. You see how it says email list 0, and then the index number for Sam Donald is 1. Okay, now if I just wanted to put in Sam, if I knew for a fact that I only had 2 email addresses within this bot, within this text file, then I could be really simple and just directly access each one of these variables. That is, I could just reference when I'm trying to put in the information here, I could just say, give me the information from email list 0, or email list index number 0, or email list index number 1. But since the bot is being made with the assumption that I don't know how many email addresses are within the text file. That is, it could be 10 email addresses, or it could be 10,000 email addresses within the text file, and I'm going to want to create accounts for each one of those. Since I have that assumption, I don't want to directly reference the index number. What I want to do is make it so that the bot can automatically advance from 0 to the last index number. Okay, so if there's 10,000 email addresses within this list, I want it to sequentially go from 0 all the way to 10,000 without me having to build in to the bot, hard code within the bot, go to email address 0, go to email address 1, go to email address all the way on to 10,000. That's ridiculous. So we're going to make it automatic, and the way that we do that is we're going to assume that whoever's running this bot knows how many email addresses are within their text file. So we're just going to ask them, and the way that we make the bot ask the user is by grabbing a input box. Okay, and we'll drag this over, and the input box is just a window that's going to pop up, and it's going to ask the user a question, or it's going to prompt them with some sort of text that we put, and then it's going to save the value that they type in into a variable. Okay, so to show you what I'm talking about, we're going to say how many email addresses are in the file. Okay, and then we're going to save the value of what they type as total email addresses, or total emails. Okay, and this is going to be a number, so we're going to change this from string, which means string of text, to number. Press OK. Now notice we have a new variable that popped up called total emails, and because it's a number, it has a pound symbol in front of it. Once again, this is empty right now because we haven't run it, but as soon as we run it, it will have a value. And let me open up the debugger window for you to see this. So we'll just run this step, and you'll notice, let's move this out of the way, you'll notice that a window is going to pop up asking us to enter in how many email addresses are in the file. Okay, all right, see this? How many email addresses are in the file? I know that there are 2 email addresses, so I'll enter in number 2, and within our debugger we can see that the total number of email addresses is 2. Okay, And we also have all the other information that we had in here before. So, all right. So now the bot knows how many email addresses are within the text file. What we're going to do is, now that we know that, or now that the bot knows that, it's going to fill in all this information, create an account, and then we want it to do the same thing again. We want it to do this same exact process over and over and over again until we run out of email addresses. Okay, and that's why it was necessary for us to know how many email addresses we have, because we're going to make a loop that loops through this entire sequence of filling in all this information, but we don't want it to do it more than the number of email addresses that we have available. Okay, so since we only have 2 email addresses available, we want it to loop through this process twice. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we need a way to keep track of how many or what is the current number, loop number that we're on at the time. So the first time we run it, we're going to be in the 0th position. Okay, the second time we run it, we're going to be in the 1st position, and so on and so forth. So we need a way to keep track of that. And the way that we do that is we're going to create a variable by dragging create variable, and we're going to call this current position. And that just means, I mean, we can name the variable whatever you want, but I'm naming the current position in reference to the current position within the loop that we're going to be in. Okay, so now let's change this from string of text to number and make the initial value 0. All right, so far so good. It starts off at 0, and then what's going to happen is as we complete each account, as we complete each account creation, the number goes up, okay, until we reach the final email address. All right, so if I were to step through this command, you'll notice that within the debugger window, the value 0 for current position will be here. All right, so we don't need this. Let's move this. All right, so now let's set up our loop, okay, because we haven't done anything with this page yet. We've just set up the information that we'll need in order to fill out this page. So the way that we create loops is with 2 basic commands, and they're create label and jump to label. Okay, so a label is just like a marker. It's basically a spot where you tell the bot, hey, it's a spot where you tell the bot, hey, this is where you should look for something, and it'll become clearer how this works in a second. Okay, so think of it as like a signpost or a marker. Okay, so this label is going to be called my loop. I mean, we can name this stuff whatever we want, but for simplicity's sake, I'll name it my loop. Okay, and then we'll press OK. Now we can actually get to filling in this information. The way that it's going to work is it's going to do all of the stuff that we filled in here. Okay, then after we're going to contain all of the input within a loop, and then when it's done creating an account, it's going to check to see if the current position is less than the total number of email addresses? And if it is, then it's going to jump back up to this position and fill out this information all over again. Make sense? All right. So the way that we'll do this is all right, so what we'll do is we'll grab this over here. You know what we'll do? Actually, we won't do that. Let's create a variable and name it. We're going to override this variable, because remember, this variable is already created, and this email variable is already created, and we want to replace it because the original email address that the create account details command is going to make is just a random email address. So we want this variable to be the current index of our loop, and this will make more sense in a second. So we'll just replace the name here, and it's a string of text, and we're going to make it email address or email list. The value will be the value of email address and the current index or the current position. Okay, so let's see how this works. Remember that you reference a list by a particular number, right? And that's the number of the index. Now, since current position is initially 0 and our list index starts at 0, then we can use current position to reference our email address, right? So if we drag over this, okay, and then always put in only email within here, the email variable will correspond with whatever the current position index number is, or the email list index number is, right? Let me just show you how this works. And what I'll do is we'll start here. We'll open up the debugger window so that you can see how it works. And we'll click run so that it runs both of these. Now notice how the email address that's put in is Bob Frank. Okay. Okay, so email address or email list index number 0 is Bob Frank. We made email address the value of email list and the current position. Since the current position's value is 0 and the first position or the email list current position is 0, then Bob Frank is the number, or Bob Frank is the email address that is put in. If, however, I may be jumping ahead of myself, but just to illustrate my point, if we raise the current position's number to 1, so if we add 1 to 0, now remember, current position's current value is 0, but if we add 1 to that value, then what you'll notice is, let's open this back up. Let's do that. So now let's go here. Okay. So now do you notice how the email address changed to correspond with current position? Since current position is number 1 and email list 1 is Sam Donald, it changed. Okay, so that's how our bot's going to work. Actually, right now we don't need this here. We'll just remove it. We don't need to add 1 to, well, I mean, we can actually leave it here. Now let's remove it for now, just to show you how this works. So let me remove all this information. So, alright, so far all we've entered in is the email address. We'll get back to this. The next thing that we're going to do is enter in the username, and the username is here. Remember, that was auto-generated. Then the password. Okay. What is this? Then the blog address is just going to be our username.wordpress.com. Okay. And then we want to click this button. It's grayed out right now, but let's just drag it over. All right, so this button is not going to work until all this information is entered in. But to show you how the bot works so far, let's run it from the very beginning, and let's go to run. All right, so it went to WordPress. Now it's waiting. It's going to create random account details. It's going to grab the email from the text file. Okay, now it's asking us how many email addresses are in the text file. I'll put it in. Boom. Notice how everything is put into the boxes, and it moved on to the second part of the account creation process. Now, WordPress is asking us for the title of our blog and a tagline and all of that. I mean, we can fill this stuff in if we want, but just for illustration's sake, I'm just going to leave this alone. Now notice, after it clicked the Create Blog button and entered in all of our information, it moved on to another page. So remember what I said, after you move on to another page, you want to wait 10 seconds just to give the elements time to load. Okay, it doesn't take 10 seconds, but just to be safe, we'll add 10 seconds of wait time. So since I'm not going to enter in any of this information, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'll just drag over the next button, and I'll remove this key. All right. So let's just click run there. Now you notice you can move on to the next spot, and we'll just do this again. All right. Now, I know from experience, for some reason WordPress is acting strangely, but I know from experience, once you've done this, you're done the account creation process. So what we can actually do is just go straight to, what is it, WordPress.com/dashboard, I believe. Let's just try that. All right. So as you can see, the account is created, and we just told it to skip ahead out of this weird little loop that it was going through directly to WordPress/dashboard, to the point where it's asking us to verify our email address. Now, I'm not going to go through the email verification process right now. It's very simple, because the main point of this is to just show you how to create accounts. In a separate video, I want to show you how to also check emails and automate that part. So now that we know that this account has been created, then what we can do is we'll wait 10 seconds since we went to another page. We're just going to sign out and then repeat the process. Okay. So wait 10 seconds, then we'll go to sign out. Drag that over. Okay. So if we click this, it'll sign us out. Oops. Actually, why is it not signing us out? Alright. I see why. It adds all this extra nonsense. Alright, for some reason it's clicking sign up but not actually signing out. Why is that? What we can do instead, since it doesn't want to sign out, I don't know what's wrong with WordPress. You see this web address here? We can just copy it and directly navigate to it. So let's remove that. Instead of just clicking on the button, we'll just directly navigate to the sign out page. So go to web address, we'll paste that here, and go there. Alright, so now we're signed out. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to navigate back to our sign up page. You know what, I forgot my own rule. Let's go to wait 10 seconds since we went to a new page. Then we'll navigate to the sign up page. Alright, so we're going to navigate back to the sign up page. We will, now that we're done, we know that we can add that number to current position. We'll go to 1. I don't know why I keep forgetting my rule. Let's wait 10 seconds. Where's the command? Alright, and we're doing that because we have to give time for the web page to load. So now let's go back to add 1 to current position. Okay. And then we're going to do a little logic here. And the logic is going to be this. It's going to say, we're going to check to see if the current position is less than the total number. So let's just drag this over. Let's see if current position is less than total emails. Okay. And if it is, then we'll go to WordPress.com. So let's remove this here and put it back within this this loop. Okay, so let's okay, because if the current position after we've added a 1 to the value of current position, if it's higher than the total number of emails, then we don't need to do anything. If it is less than the total number of emails, and that means that we need, after adding 1 to the current value, then that means that we need to do another sign up, okay, and fill out that whole process. So what will happen is, if it is, after checking if the current number is less than the total number, then it's going to go back to the sign up page, and then it's going to, remember when we created this label called my loop? Where is it? Right here. Well, now we're going to actually reference it. What we're going to do is we're going to jump to this position and fill out all this stuff again, and that will complete our loop. Okay, so we're going to jump to the label named my loop after we visit. You know what? I don't know why I did that. Let's once again wait 10 seconds. And then we'll jump to the loop. Okay. So, and then what we can do is we will end our checking. What's called, just so that we complete our if-then statement. And so this is how it will work. So it's going to check what I told you it was going to check. If the condition is true, it will go here. It'll go to wordpress.com/signup. It'll wait 10 seconds. It'll jump to the loop it's going to jump to the label called my loop, and then it's going to fill out all the information with a new email address and all of that. Then it's going to come all the way back down here and check again. And then once the condition is false, that is, once the current number is not less than the total number of emails, then it's going to jump all the way down here, and we can just have a pop-up window saying something like, you know, we're done, or account creation complete. I'll show you what it's going to look like. Okay. So let me just step through this so you can see what the pop-up button's going to look like. Okay. It's not completed yet, but once the if statement is done, then this will pop up. All right, so let's run this from where we left off. We left off here where it says log out. So click on this wait command and click run. And hopefully, if I haven't made any mistakes, it should create another account. And let's see. All right, it's waiting 10 seconds. Went back to the sign up page. Okay, you see how it says Sam Donaldson? Nah, I think I see a mistake. Alright. Notice the mistake that was made? I did. It created this. I didn't change the username. Let's go back. You see how this, it says sorry that username already exists? And we can easily rectify this by creating new random account details. Okay. That is, let's just move this up. And tell it to, we'll tell it to create a random account details before it jumps to the loop, which is the position where it starts entering in all this stuff. Okay. Alright, so this is where we left off at, and now let's test that out. Alright, so now we should be good. Interesting. There's a mistake again. Alright, so when you have results that don't fit your expectations, so I just had a result that didn't fit my expectation. It should have filled in all of the information and then click the create account button or create blog button. But somewhere along the line it didn't do one of these steps. So let's see where it messed up. We're going to debug our problem. Let's go to where we are. And that's, I mean, we're at the position where it should be entering in the email address. We'll step through this one by one to see where it's messing up. So enter the email address, enter the username, enter the password. So next it should enter in the blog address. It already did. So let's scroll down. It should be clicking create blog. Let's see what's going on. Why isn't it not clicking this? Okay, it did. So why did it not do that the first time? Okay, for some reason now it's working perfectly. Not sure what that's about. Okay, you know what? It worked correctly the first time. It must have just ran through it really quickly and we didn't notice. Alright, so now you can see the account creation is completed. So we have our bot created two different accounts for us, and we can just save this bot because it's working. And I'll save this as I don't know, my WordPress account creation. Alright, so now I have a working WordPress bot, account creation bot, and if I wanted to, I could you know, compile this and sell it to people who want to automate WordPress account creations, or I can share it with my friends, or I can just use it for my own personal benefit. The only requirement would be for me to enter in new email addresses here. If I wanted to enter in, like I said, 10,000 email addresses, I could enter in 10,000 email addresses, and the bot would create 10,000 WordPress accounts for me. And so there you go. You have a simple WordPress bot that was created, and yeah, you're on your way to making bots. The only thing that we didn't cover is checking email addresses, or checking email addresses for the confirmation email that WordPress sends. And like I said, I'm going to discuss that more in another tutorial. But if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below on YouTube, and I'll be happy to help you run through the bot creation process. All right, so there you go. We're all done.